Hello, good evening, and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, live from our studio here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu Date. Coming up this evening, the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate-elect for Ayawaso East, Baba Jamal, says he is ready to cooperate fully with any investigative process instituted by the party following allegations of bribery and voter inducement during last weekend's internal primaries. Details in a moment. Also, the Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwabena Kwabena, dismisses minorities' claim that government lacked commitment to completing the Swami interchange in the Ashanti region due to variation of the project scope. And we'll stay in that region and bring you stories we are getting this evening having to do with a KNUST student said to have died after falling off his second floor from the campus building or the campus hotel. We'll go there and update you on it. This is Hot Edition live around the world on our website and also streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. Do let us know what you make of the many stories we have for you this evening. Before that, let's bring you the news summaries. Nura Mohammed. Hello, Nura.
Hello. First, the Minister for Roads has reassured the that the government is actively settling standing arrears owed to road contractors, clarifying that any current delays are primarily to essential verification processes rather than the lack of money at company. This assurance follows the CEO for Presidential intervention by Nana Opare Kwabena, chairman of the Ghana Chain Contracting Group, cited significant delays in payments made to the farm. Meanwhile, in Leputi, a farming community, market day more than was trade for many children. Quiet day school as traders feel the local they are left usual choosing trading for less. This situation raises concerns about the progress towards sustainable development goal 4, which seeks to ensure inclusive and meanwhile, the Ashanti recorded 8,104 cases of breast surging to over 7% respectively, according to the service. This alarming recent picture was revealed by the country director of health service, Dr. Fred at the media briefing to mark World Day, celebrated this year under the theme Closing the Conflict Gap Prevention. Also, the recently elected parliamentary representative for the Ayawaso election, Baba Jamal, has said that he will avail himself to the investigation process. He expressed optimism coming out clean after denying the allegations. The NDC earlier constituted a 3-member committee to investigate allegations of widespread abuse and vote buying during the primary held last Saturday. Finally, VFS Global has issued an urgent fraud and warning of a sharp-rated scam targeting staff. The alert comes as international travel business education measure reaches record creating a federal ground for appointments. The company is several diplomatic missions that scammers posing as official employees or authorized intermediaries. These fraudsters often promise early booking slots or guaranteed
Thank you very much, Nura, for the news summaries. Let's settle for the details. And you can also be a part of the show. Look, all these stories are about you. So do send us your thoughts and what you make of the many stories we have for you this evening. And we're starting from the all-important story having to do with what's the past week and threw up in the Ayawaso East constituency. The NDC parliamentary candidate-elect for the Ayawaso East constituency, Baba Jamal, says he is ready to cooperate fully with any investigative process instituted by the party following allegations of bribery and voter inducement during last weekend's internal primaries. Baba Jamal emerged victorious in the 7th February parliamentary primary, defeating his closest contender, Hajia Amina Adam. However, The outcome has been clouded by allegations that some aspirants distributed television sets, cash, motorbikes, and other items to delegates to influence the vote. The claims have drawn strong condemnation from the NDC leadership and President John Mahama. Moments after the results were declared, the party's parliamentary caucus and sections of the public have all thrown up issues of condemnation and accused the aspirants of unfortunately doing what Ghana's politics is trying to shun. The NDC caucus has also called for the annulment of the results and the disqualification of all candidates who took part in the contest. In response, the party has set up a three-member committee to investigate the allegations and recommend sanctions. The committee is expected to submit its report by Tuesday, the 10th of February 2028, which is tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has announced separate investigations into alleged vote buying in both the NDC's Ayawaso East primary and the NPP's presidential primary that ended a week prior. The investigations will focus on vote buying and selling, as well as the sources of funding for the alleged act. Speaking to 3FM's Gold Armstrong Alogbe, Baba Jamal himself denied any attempts to induce delegates and says he will fully submit himself to the party's internal processes, expressing confidence that he will be cleared. Let's listen to Baba Jamal's thoughts post the letters and accusations of corruption and corruption-related matters.
Oh, yes, I've been invited to meet the committee later today. And as I said, I will make myself available for any investigation to go on so that our names will be cleared, so that everybody will have confidence in the system. We don't have anything to hide, and so we will make ourselves available to go and respond to whatever investigation that they want to conduct.
What message do you have for your supporters?
No, I will ask my supporters to stay calm. You have seen the crowd here who have come to show solidarity. I am grateful to them. But everybody should stay calm, because let's allow the processes to go on and let the party do what it's supposed to do.
It appears the independent candidate is taking advantage of what is happening. I was in the constituency and I've seen that he's seriously campaigning. Are you not worried about what is happening now?
No, I don't want to comment on him. Let me finish my battle and then I'll come to him.
You are sure you are coming out clean and
victorious? Oh, as I've said, I have not done anything wrong, and for that matter, I am sure I've earned a genuine victory, and for that matter, I will be allowed to go.
You didn't buy the TV. You didn't share the TV. We are told it's your friends that share the TV. Can you confirm that?
I also heard it after even the election that I heard these things. I also heard it later that some TVs were shared. And now, do you now know the problem I have? Now, a lot of people, because I think they didn't share for everybody. Now, everybody is coming to my office here asking for TV, and now I don't have TV. You understand? They are all now coming here, everybody wants TV, and I don't have TV because I have not shared. Those who dealt with it, I don't know. Actually, do you know that the people they are talking about, I don't even know, I've not seen them. I've heard the names. I know the name, but I've not even seen them as I talk to you now. So I really cannot really say anything about that.
Finally, sir, what have you to say to His Excellency who gave you the position at the National High Commission, and definitely you are going to be required anyway. But
look, I thank him so much for giving me that opportunity to serve my country. I thank him so much, and I will continue to work wherever he thinks I am suitable for. I am prepared to work wherever he will place me, or I will be in parliament to support his cause, because we are all trying to reset Ghana. We will continue to reset Ghana under his leadership. The president is the one who is our coach. He deploys us the way he wants. So if he decides to bring me back from Nigeria, I will only thank Allah and thank him for the opportunity he has given me.
Thank you so much, sir.
And you heard the voice of Baba Jamal, the NDC Ayawaso East parliamentary candidate-elect, and as it stands, he actually is yet to be investigated, but the party has expressed interest in investigating the allegations of corruption and corruption-related matters. We also know that the presidency, or His Excellency the President, has, through his communications minister, asked the Foreign Affairs Minister to immediately recall Baba Jamal. That has also been done. And then the anti-corruption institution that we all know about, that's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, has also given indication that, having followed closely what happened in the NPP presidential primary and the NDC's just ended also East parliamentary primary, they are going to investigate the corruption allegations that have come up. Let's now get the thoughts of the Ghana Center for Democratic Development. They have also waded into the public conversation and are asking for some right steps to be taken. Let's engage Programs Officer Paul Kufuor, who has joined us on the phone. Mr. Kufuor, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Thank you, Martin. The name is Paul Kufuor. I'm a Programs Manager at CDD.
Right. So we'll start with, thanks for the correction and the addition. We'll start with what generally the CDD thinks of the incident that played out from the Ayawaso East constituency over the weekend. This was just an internal democratic exercise, but it looks as though it has drawn the attention of what has transpired in our elections or electoral cycles for a number of years now. So why is this an isolated case? Why are we crying foul because one individual has been seen or has been alleged to have bought votes?
Martin, good evening to you once again, and good evening to your listeners. I think this is not something that is being blown out of proportion, but it tells you that Ghanaians are gradually becoming worried with this particular development that is characterizing our electoral policies in Ghana. I mean, it's getting unsustainable and it's hurting our democracy. What it is doing is that it is undermining the quality of representation in Ghana. So you cannot really affirm that elections will produce the desired outcome, in the sense that if people are able to infiltrate and manipulate a system through vote buying, then the desired outcome certainly will not reflect the genuine aspirations and interests of citizens as to who is to really represent them. And we are all crying about democracy, in the sense that institutions are losing a lot of trust among citizens. There's a loss of confidence. And these are the behaviors and the attitudes that are driving these perceptions towards a lot of the institutions that we have in Ghana. So it's not we are not blowing it out of proportion, but you see, the openness and the boldness characterizing vote buying of late is what is causing a lot of disillusion and dissatisfaction with democratic practices in Ghana. And it's quite worrying.
But the other side of the argument will be that this is not the first time we are seeing this. It has happened over time. We have known politicians and seen them do it. And there are those who say that if the politicians are giving, there are those who are receiving. Or on the other side, there are those who are demanding, for which reason the politicians are giving. So how do we address this, on a national scale, so we are sure that we are correcting the wrongs of our political system?
Martin, we need to be intentional about resolving some of these challenges. I do agree with you. Both the giver and the taker are all culpable within the tenets of the law. But how have we implemented the law over time? I think we recall what happened in Ejoso some time back. The criminal elements or aspect of the case was left off the hook. So it tells you that, as the lawyers will say, there seems to be some legal lacuna or some legal deficit in the application of the law. And there have been so lots that we've said about the activities of political parties in Ghana. Because one of the key backsliding issues for our democracy is the quality of our political parties. It appears we've left the political parties to do what they like. Nobody regulates their internal party activity. So, for example, if they are even fixing filing fee, it can go as high as they want. But that is not what democracy seeks to do. Democracy is based on the principles of participation, of equity, transparency, and inclusion, and also the rule of law. So what laws are we using to sanitize and regulate multi-party democracy in Ghana? You cannot have a multi-party democracy where there are no deep and inherent regulations to guide the behavior and activities of these actors. I have been doing a lot of work in the sub-region. So if you go to Sierra Leone, they have what you call the Political Parties Regulatory Commission. We all know that the Electoral Commission hasn't been able to perform that role creditably. So the whole thing is about revising the sanctions and punishments, the regimes around these things. We need to reform it. We also need institutional reform. And I'm happy to hear that there are conversations around having an independent political party regulatory commission. But we cannot allow political parties to have unlimited discretion in terms of how they conduct themselves. And now it's getting so open and blatant that the disregard for the law is on the search.
All right. The NDC clearly has taken a step that I'm sure many of you would commend, or civil society organizations like CDD. We've also seen that Transparency International, etc., have all released statements and are more or less supporting the steps being taken by the NDC to seek to sanitize the system. But what is the best advice to go or to use in dealing with this? And I'm asking this question on the premise that some of the delegates who benefited from this are saying that they do not agree with the party's decision to, for instance, call Baba Jamal to the party's leadership to answer questions or to investigate the whole process. So if we say we need to investigate, get to the bottom, and clear some of these things, what is the best approach you would give to a political party, especially now that they are in power?
I think the approach they have taken, as you said, has been commended, and it means that a lot of people are satisfied with the approach. Because if you see people committing such offenses, and we are talking about race setting, and there is not a deliberate effort to really confront such an offense, then basically we are not serious. We are not putting action to the words that we are putting out all the time. So I support the president's decision to recall his honorable or his excellency Baba Jamal back from the mission to come and support the investigative processes. He himself has also asked his supporters to remain calm, and then he's willing to collaborate with the ongoing investigations that have been deployed at the moment. So I think the people of Ayawaso or Nima should allow the process to unfold. And we cannot take the law into our hands. And that is where, for me, sometimes I think that independent institutions like the Office of the Special Prosecutor become so relevant because it's so difficult for the party itself to check it out. Right? Attorney General is a party member. The majority leader is a party member. So you need this independent institution to serve as a check on the powers of political parties and activities of political parties. And that's why some of us make a strong case that we should not really delegitimize institutions like the Office of the Special Prosecutor. They are independent, investigate these matters. And I think the National Peace Council and other relevant actors should start engaging the people of Lima for them to also appreciate
it would be best, or it will serve them best and Ghana's politics and democracy better if institutions like the special prosecutor undertake the investigation?
So for me, I would see the NDC investigation as more of using the lessons to reform the process, right? So much more reformative than retributive.
Mm.
But that of the OSP certainly is higher than what the OSP is doing, and it can lead to consequences, including punishment and sanctions and all that. The party can also do that, but I think OSP is higher, and you all know that the OSP is an independent body.
Right.
That for someone like me, I will want them to take the lead
Mm.
in investigating the entire the offense
Okay.
and bringing finality to it. But it doesn't stop the NDC, as I said. It's a party. It has to improve on its internal party primaries. It has to it has to contribute to the process of addressing vote buying in Ghana.
Right.
So if they also undertake this, it is good. The lessons can help them, and then we
Going
can
forward.
build a better democracy for
Right.
all of us.
And finally, before you take leave of us, and briefly, is it truly possible that an election can be held without funding or financing playing a role, or people being, encouraged, and I'm using encouraged advisedly, to go and vote? People feel that, well, if I vote for you and you go, you probably are the only one to enjoy whatever the perks are for the position you are gunning for, constituent and party people. But what is your take on the fact that monetization is becoming entrenched? However, we cannot do the politics without the money aspect of it. How do you?
Martin, money cannot be ruled out from any activity like this. Every function or responsibility goes to resources, but you cannot also leave it out for people to use money to negatively also influence the process to the disadvantage of representation, which requires that individuals must have one vote, and their vote must be counted, or their vote must count, right? If you are voting and you are induced by money, then it means that the outcome, as I said from the beginning, is not reflecting the quality of representation that one desires to have. But for me, I think the problem is such that we need regulations. For every society, every endeavor, you need to regulate it. You cannot leave the door open for people to conduct themselves any way they like it. We know how illicit financial flow really is causing a lot to democracy globally. And people are using some illicit funds to influence voter patterns and voter outcomes. So if you are not careful,
Mm.
people will even feel that their votes may not even count in future, and they will continue to trade their votes. But whilst we are all at that, we should also find ways to ensure that the dividends of democracy is shared widely across populations,
Okay.
and that we are contributing to reducing poverty and all that. We're also working on the mindset of people, and I'm happy that earlier conversations on the 24-hour economy, there is a critical component about ethics and mindset that are also being discussed. So the problem must be addressed from varied angles to be
Mm.
able to have control over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Paul Sekfor is a programs officer at the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana. Clearly, supporting the call for investigations and the fact that there are plans to ensure that our political systems are sanctified or sanitized, I should say. So, a political analyst, Dr. Samuel Efriye, he's joined us also over phone. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Yeah, good evening, Martin.
What are your initial thoughts on the role vote buying plays in party primaries? For a constituent, maybe our conversation is premised on specifically, but generally, when you look generally at Ghana's political system, what role does vote buying play when we are talking about Ghana's politics? How good or bad is that?
Well, thank you very much, and greetings to your listeners as well, those on online. You know, Martin, I think vote buying will be positive for the politicians or people who tend to induce people with resources so that they will change their vote for them come into power. So, for that perspective, politicians have seen that vote buying will inure to their benefit. So, they will tend to use it. And they have taken an advantage of people or maybe the target group, especially with that is in inter-party elections, where the delegates, most of them are poor in the sense that have lower class of poor people, most of these delegates, and they want to take an advantage of their situation. At the same time, you also realize that the way we have made our policy in such a way that it has now become a business. So I would say that vote buying has become a business model where people tend to transact. You give me votes, then I give you something or whatever material or whatever resource of money or whatever. Then you also return your vote to me. So it's a business model that these politicians have adopted so far. And it's not only for the NDC, but it's something that has become part of alarm to the situation. But it's very difficult. Even government officials, even government levels, they tend to use some of these projects and other things to lure voters so that they will tend to vote for them. So it has become part of us. And it's now trying to be a culture within our politics. And it's something that we need to put a stop to it. But we hope and pray that what the NDC have started will reduce. But it will not be off. As I was listening to the CDD
Officer.
person that you were saying that it cannot remove money on any other thing, but how we can manage it in market, because the negative aspect is that we can get people into power by voting, these people buying votes, and a group of people can also champion some individuals, sponsor them, because looking at the Ayawasu is, there's some indications is that most of the candidates are saying that they don't have any knowledge or any prior knowledge about what was being shared, whatever. They don't have any in terms of television set or whatever. But which means that we can have people who can be sponsored by them so that they will get in power and champion their cause.
Right.
If, for example, let me use this as an example, I'm saying they can sponsor maybe 10 or 20 MPs or 40 MPs so that when they go to parliament, then they will tend to prevent any law that will affect, say, in our respective mining areas. So it's so serious that if you're not careful, you will elect people to go into our political leadership where they can make things uncomfortable for the general people. And it's getting too much. It's serious and it has to be avoided at all.
It looks as though the NPP, is also going to be investigated by the special prosecutor. The NDC clearly is also on the radar of the special prosecutor. But from where you sit as an analyst, what kind of bipartisan, because clearly this is beyond just one party, what would you advise a bipartisan approach to dealing with the monetization of our politics? And I'm asking this on the back of the fact that the NDC is about to start a nationwide, internal party elections. And if even just one constituency primary, we are seeing this level of inducement, there is then the possibility that when the party does begin the local level elections, before they get to constituency level, regional and national, the kind of monies needed to exchange hands just to more quote-unquote buy votes would be unthinkable. So, and it cuts across both parties, the NDC, the MPP as well. They have finished their flag bearer race. They are now going to start internal party elections. So how would you advise that both parties probably collaborate to find a solution to this?
Well, Martin, it seems that even the two parties, some of them are so alarmed. It's because after the MPP presidential election, you realize that the chairman of the Council of Heads, um, Hackman, um, Hackman, right?
Yes,
If
also.
it is correct, yes, even made to that statement that they have to check this kind of monetization of their election. And it's something that is holding the two parties. I would think that they have to come out with a system, a model that the two of them, or even the political parties, will meet to come out with something that will bind them. Maybe whether the electoral commission, maybe whether um, the CDD or the stakeholders of these kind of democratic system that we are practicing. At least we have a lot of stakeholders where they will come together to come up with a certain model and come up with rules and regulations, even though what they are doing is against. But it has now become part of us that if we want to work it out, it has to be the collaborators within the same system for them to also come out with. Because, and I think that what the NDC has started is that they have seen fire ahead of them, and that will be serious because if they don't stop it now, it will be very, very damning for the party. So I think that it's a very good step by the party to come in and so that they will ensure that the right things are done within. But it's quite unfortunate that the OSP came in. I would say unfortunate because we have seen a lot of investigative actions being taken by OSP, of which we have not heard anything. If I can remember, some time ago, I think the NPP at Kwabena constituency, where one of the candidates, the OSP asked the man to come and then have some. We have not heard anything. They come to at some place. There was also an issue about an NDC candidate paying money at a rally or something. We have not heard anything. So some of these things, the OSP will come in and we will not hear anything. There will not be nothing that will come out of this. And that is where we're worried about some of these attempts by the OSP to come in. Because if it comes in and you investigate and nothing is being done, then it means that they just want to do it to occupy space. And that is what we are worried about. If state agencies come in for some of these things and they tend to make it more partisan and more political in a way that will not get a good result and nothing is being acted on, then it becomes a difficult aspect
So you would expect that now that the OSP has shown interest, they should actually come out with some timelines where, for instance, they say by next week to either invite the suspect, quote unquote, and then by a week after that, they will come out with a verdict so that we can see some clear outline of what the OSP will be doing, not just the fact that they will investigate and then everybody goes to bed.
Exactly, Martin. That is what we are expecting. You see, you don't just come in and investigate and nothing is heard. All those allegations and things that were leveled against some political actors about some of these money or whatever, I think you compare with that. That you see some of these things. OSP will make an attempt, will come with a press release, will come to whatever. But at the end of the day, you see that you don't hear anything from them. And that is our worry. But we believe that in this time, they will be active and give us feedback. They will go come in, and if anything, they will send to street people or whatever. Then it means that things have been done, and it will serve as a deterrent for those that are coming in for leadership in our political system. Okay. And I think that is what we are all urging. We will even urge that even if the police will even come in sometimes, the CID and those institutions that want to find out how some things maybe some because what this vote buying is against our law, okay, where you have to buy votes and other things. The law is there, but it has become so in a way that people, these political parties, because the two of them, they just brush through it for their own interest, and it's worrying to them. That is why even the MPs jumped in, because some people within the NDC are mashing up their system, their spending financial resources to do some of these MPs out. That's what they rush in to say that they have to annul the election results. If not, most of them will be at stake in terms of their position,
primaries,
because our people are in certain positions and then building themselves for the task ahead for various constituencies.
Okay. Doc, thank you so much for your time this evening.
My pleasure, Mark.
And that is Dr. Samuel Efrie, who is a political analyst and also a lecturer, helping us with some political perspectives on what's been happening at the IASO East constituency primary of the NDC that happened over the weekend and the fallouts from there. And you recall that a few days before this election, some statesmen, two of them, including Dr. Nyahota Maklo, and also two other individuals who have been in Ghana's politics for decades, have gone to the Supreme Court trying to ask or seeking the court or praying the court to come up with clear guidelines as regards who can vote or who can partake in an election for party leadership. And so they want the delegate system to be, more or less reviewed, so you can have anybody who is a card-bearing member, due-paying member of the party to be given the opportunity to vote. But, well, we'll see what the coming days hold. And your thoughts on these are very welcome on our social media pages. We are live on Facebook and on 3FM 92.7 and then also on YouTube. So do send us your messages. We would happily share it with the rest of the world. This is 3FM. You're listening to Hot Edition. Let's take you straight to the Ashanti region because the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi is mourning following the tragic death of one of its students, Ransford Amankwa Asumani, a third-year student enrolled in the BSc Agribusiness Management program. The university, in a statement issued on Monday, the 9th of February, said Mr. Asumani fell from the second floor of an off-campus hostel in Ayediase in the early hours of Sunday, the 8th of February. Colleagues who rushed him immediately to the KNUST hospital with assistance from the KNUST District Police Patrol Team said that they were told he had died on arrival by the medical team who received the body. Let's get the latest on this. Daryl Bozo is our campus correspondent. Daryl, thank you for your time. First of all, how are the students taking the news of one of them dying as a result of he falling from a floor? From the second floor of his hostel.
Okay, Martin, thank you. Well, campus actually seems cool now. Most students are not informed of the situation currently. Most of them are now getting to hear of the passing on of a colleague on campus. So tensions, however, are less on campus as lectures are still going on. Students are still moving up and down from lecture rooms to their hostels. And some are now hearing about the information, and then we could see on some of their faces on campus with some tension. But for now, campus and the tension on campus is less.
Right, and the school authorities released a statement following the news of the passing of the young man in question. Have you been able to get further information from the authorities? There isn't even clarity as to whether he's a second year or a third year student. What do we know?
Exactly. So the school authorities are still investigating in the issue, as most information out are saying the family is stating he's in 400. But then the statements, the official statements released by the school, which was signed by the URO, stated that the student happens to be a second year student. So this being from the URO, it is believed that he is currently in second year. However, they haven't attended to the media or addressed to us how the incident happened or the way forward of this. They have, however, stated that they are still investigating and will come back to the media and address to us how this incident happened as a whole. So for now, we are still on standby as the media to get more information from the school authorities to know what exactly happened and how to identify the students as a whole.
You mentioned two things. Please clarify for us. You said students are not on campus yet or school is not in session yet. Is that it?
No, I mentioned that students on campus are now getting informed of the situation. So tensions on campus is less. Lectures is still ongoing, and the tension as to the news that has happened now is less.
Okay. And you mentioned URO. Who's that? Or what position is that?
So How the URO is supposed to is the one who gives that the university relations officer. He is the person of Mr. Dr. Daniel North. So, so
Your call is on hold. Please.
Right. So we seem to have just had a slight challenge with the line. We're speaking to our correspondent who is in the University of the KNUST, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and was updating us on what the mood was like now that the news is trickling in to the student body about the death of one of their own who we are told fell from the second floor of a private hostel. And so the news is now getting to the student body, but the school authorities have released a statement in that regard, uh, confirming the death, and investigations, we are told, are currently underway. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition, and I will try and get further information for you regarding what has been ongoing so far. Well, we're turning our attention to some health-related matters now. And epilepsy, if you do not know what it is, you could just Google it. But clearly, the information we are picking up or getting is that epilepsy cases in the Ashanti region continues to pose a significant public health challenge, with over 3,000 recorded cases in 2025, just last year. Data from the Ghana Health Service shows that while reported cases dipped slightly to 2,968 in 2024, the overall trend remains worrying. The region recorded 2,719 cases in 2022, rising to 3,220 in 2023, underscoring the persistent burden of the condition despite increased public awareness. Health authorities say the figures highlight the need to move beyond awareness campaigns to sustained interventions that improve diagnosis, treatment, and social support for persons living with epilepsy. It is important this backdrop. It is against this backdrop, I should say, that the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate Service has launched the Epilepsy Pledge campaign as part of activities marking International Epilepsy Day. Let's speak to Dr. Frank Amako Boating, who is the Regional Health Director, has joined us on phone. Doc, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Good evening.
To start with,
the name is Fred Adomako.
Fred Adomako Boating. Yes, thank you for that correction. To start with, will you be able to establish what really is the cause of epilepsy? Briefly, for those who may not know what it is. What is epilepsy?
The name like that these people have that's basically basically coming from a complex neurological experience. When you see people having that, there are a number of causes, but then you have to really normally when it comes to how
right.
Epilepsy actually.
Doc, unfortunately, the line isn't too clear. So myself and my listeners, I'm sure, are struggling to hear you clearly. Maybe we'll try and call you back quickly. So we hope to have a better connection to the line so we can hear your answers well. Because beyond we getting answers to the alarming cases of epilepsy rising, we are also trying to get some education. So in case you find someone who gets a seizure as a result of being epileptic, what kind of first aid can you provide while you look at getting the person some proper medical attention? So those are bits and pieces of information we would be happy to hear from Dr. Adomako Boating, who is the Regional Health Director of the Ashanti region. And this conversation is on the back of the high numbers recorded at various medical centers about the cases of epilepsy. And we are told that between 2002 and 2003, there has been a major increase and fast forward to 2009, it has even gone further. And by 2025, we are looking in excess of 3,221 recorded cases as of last year. So it is quite concerning, and we all need to talk about it so we are sure that we are doing the right things to reduce these cases of epilepsy that are ongoing or that we are recording in various medical facilities. So hopefully we get a clearer connection to Dr. Adoma Boateng. So I'm sure that we have a clearer connection now. Doc, thank you once again. So you were just giving us a brief understanding of what epilepsy is and what kind of symptoms we'll see or signs we'll see if someone has an epileptic attack or what we call a seizure. But how often do this happen, and what could cause it to happen if someone doesn't know?
So we have different causes of epilepsy. Some you can really know the cause, and but some most of them you don't really know what really is causing that particular disorder. So I can just discuss some causes, known causes. One of them basically substance abuse. When people begin to abuse some drugs, it's possible for them to have. When people have accident, brain injury related to brain injury, it's also possible causes. You can also have problems, especially when it comes to delivery. And these children have what we call cerebral palsy. They tend to kind of also present this. But most of the cases, you cannot really pinpoint to an underlying cause that this is really the agent or the factor that is making this person have this kind of disorder. And that is basically what we want us to discuss, for people to know that, look, this is not spiritual. It's not when people begin to manifest that. It's not really a curse. And that is the essence of why we are discussing this disorder.
And is this something we call, is that what they call in the local language, esro?
Esro is really normally what we use for Accra children. We call it febrile convulsion. Normally when they are less than 5 years, and then when they tend to get this high body temperature, fever, then they begin to convulse, and that is what we call estro. But when we talk about epilepsy, we are talking about itcha.
Right.
Or we can, another local term that we use is a formulary. But normally, I think the common one that people really know is what we call itcha. And the reason why we are highlighting this awareness is for people to know that when people, it can happen to anybody. Some people, it's likely maybe they have not even presented with these signs and symptoms before. In adults, they can tend to present with any of them. And then let me, for want of better word, it's like me and you going to work and all other places and then and getting it. It can affect anybody, race, class, tribe, color, all of us. It can affect us. But what is important for us is for us to accept this condition. Look at how we will really manage people when they have it. And the sad aspect is that, look, we have medicines that are really effective, that can help these people to live a seemingly normal life, for want of better word, for us.
Okay, so Doc, for lack of time, I would want to ask my final question, and it comes from the last statement you just made, that it is treatable or curable. But that will be after you've been diagnosed and told that, or there is evidence that you have epilepsy. But you're also saying that it is not clear. It could be anybody. It can happen at any time. So at what point should you have an episode before then that you are put on medication, or you probably can go and test and be told you do have it. So these are the medications to take to prevent it from coming up at any time. How does this play out?
So when you have signs and symptoms, and especially the one that we know people are convulsing or having these fits, at times they foam, at times they even chew their tongue. You will have to really take a history, examine, and rule out all other possible causes. One commonest cause of fit or convulsion is when people have low blood in sugar. When people are also alcohol withdrawal symptoms, and then because they don't eat, and the other issues. We can only classify people of having that condition after we have ruled out and then they present with all these. We have other examination, investigation that we can do that can confirm. And the moment you are confirmed, examined to have this condition that we are talking about, then we put you on medication. If this is really being caused by other secondary factors, then those other secondary factors should be managed. And you don't necessarily need pure epileptic drugs per se. But what I want us to know is that for all of us, when people have these attacks, wherever they are, it's very risky, especially if somebody is beside fire, walking alongside the road, and even maybe driving.
Yeah.
These are all the things that we have to look for. When you are there, please be calm. When they are having this fit, don't put anything in their mouth, whether spoon, sponge, nothing. Don't try. Just give them time. The seizure will just stop. If there are in any house with fire, just move them from there. And then the best thing that you have to do is we have to really look for help.
Thank you so much, and certainly this is a conversation we'll be continuing in the coming days. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you.
And that is Dr. Fred Adomako Boateng, who is the Ashanti Regional Health Director, educating us on epilepsy, and the concern really is the fact that the cases are rising, so we all need to be cautious. Check out for the signs and symptoms. It is treatable, it is preventable, like you just said, so do the right thing and make sure you are healthy and protecting each other. You're listening to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Time now for the latest in the world of sport.
Here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Let's start from the local scene where Asante Kotoko have been in the news in the past 24 hours after they were knocked out of the MTN FA Cup round of 16 by Diana FC. A 4-2 penalty shootout defeat signaled the end of Kotoko's FA Cup defense, while leaving the Porcupine Warriors with just one trophy to compete for, which is the Ghana Premier League. Kotoko are currently 5th on the standings with 35 points and are 8 points adrift of leaders Mediama, despite the growing pressure from fans for the sacking of head coach Karim Zito. The veteran coach says that he's still determined to win the league this season.
I would say when you look at my team and you look at the result we are getting, I don't think it's fair when you come to Kotoko. Because Kotoko knows nothing but winning. And some place we should have won, some place to meeting which is not. But all the same, that doesn't mean we are left with 21 matches, so you have to. I will never give up until goes off. The points matter. The points matter. The moment you set a point and then you look at yours, you see that no. Look, all those leading now, I'm yet to beat them. They are yet to. So do you want to tell me I'm going to lose or they are going to? You don't know, I don't know. But my intention is to. So after that, then you look at the teams left, then you can make up your mind. But even with that, there are surprises, element of surprises. So now you can't sit down here remaining 21 matches to be played, and then you say somebody has won. I don't believe that. Don't believe that. So we still hold our what? We still hold our intentions. We still hold our objectives. That I mean, saying you win or wanting to win, it also urges you. You can't give up at the early stage.
Well, that was head coach of Kumasi Asante Kotoko speaking to our sister station Akuma FM. Meanwhile, 5 key members have been added to the technical team of the Black Stars last Friday, taking the total number of technical expertise on Otoado's team to about 20. Most key among the new additions is Black Queens head coach Kim Laswekaghan, who will lead Ghana the 2026 Women's AFCON, which is also scheduled to take place in March. My colleague Mutala Yakubu believes Rekaghan's involvement in the Black Stars could potentially distract his preparations with the Black Queens.
I am only concerned about Kim Lasby with the Black Queens role and also doubling as a band coach, because I felt that his concentration as of now should be solely on the Black Queens, because next month there's a huge tournament that they need to play. I didn't expect him to be part of the Black Stars technical team at the moment. I felt that an opportunity could be given to someone else to come and do that job. Then he concentrates solely on the Black. But well, let's see. The FA has strengthened the technical team, as we say in our local parlance. And I'm not doing. We are just hoping that it would bear fruit for us, because we did it some time back. It didn't work. And FIFA has no cut-off limit for the number of technical team members that you can bring. All they will tell you that on the bench there must not be more than 15 people on that bench. So you can bring 100 people to come and work with you. But once the bench is no more than the stipulated number that FIFA wants, you are good to go. I'm just hoping that with the video analysts that are coming.
And finally, before we go, let's head to Europe, where Juan Laporta has resigned as president of FC Barcelona in order to seek re-election, launching a 35-day countdown to elections set for March 15, the club said on Monday. Laporta, who took office